Can you describe at all what the profile of a candidate you're looking for is? I mean, does it have to be a coach with Division I experience, major college experience, anything like that?
Um, those are appropriate. I think that I'm looking for someone with great experience that has integrity and character, but has had success at the Division I level, and I think that's all helpful.
How about, I know you had said earlier that you wanted to have somebody by the Final Four. I mean, what's the process like the next couple of weeks?
I think it'll depend on candidates and how far they go in the tournament, or this is a busy time, so I can't predict when it would happen, but I'd rather have it sooner than later.
Do you have? I mean, I'm sure you've had a working list that every AD has at some point. I mean, do you have it down to like a top 5, top 3, anything like that at this point?
I'm really not going to get into details on the search, but yeah, there's been people that I've been interested in, and we're making that list and continuing to vet that.
Jim, how competitive can you be salary-wise, do you think, for this position?
I think one, I've talked to the chancellor and the board and board of curators, and so they want us to hire the best coach we can, and so we can be competitive.
Have you finalized a search firm yet? Has that process been taken care of?
Yes, and so we've been
We've been waiting for the paperwork to come back from campus.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And it had not come back as of last time I checked earlier today.
Yeah.
Is there a committee on campus that will kind of oversee that as well, or is that kind of you and Mike?
Yeah, it's mostly Chancellor Foley and I, and then I've been utilizing a number of people that they'd rather stay anonymous, but they're involved with the program and support the program, but at different levels. But been keeping the board of curators through Phil Snowden updated on where we're at, and he's been making sure that the communication has been good.
I know that you mentioned in the release the waning support and attendance being a factor. So how important is it to get someone who the fans recognize their name and want to come back to the arena next year?
Yeah, I think it's that's an important criteria, but not the only one. I want to hire the best coach that I feel that in the long term is going to be successful at Mizzou. So it depends. I think basketball people, hopefully will recognize the person that we hire, and we want to hire the best basketball candidate, and so that's committed, that wants to grow this program and compete for championships, and so I think that will get people excited.
What do you think makes for a good basketball coach in terms of maybe temperament, things like that? Do you have like an ideal profile?
I think they come in all shapes and sizes, so I don't have an ideal, profile. I really look at, past history, success, integrity in the coaching community. What are they thought of? How are they thought of? I guess those are important pieces to the puzzle.
When you say you can be competitive, I mean, are we talking up to $3 million? I mean, have you guys? Is there a ceiling at all to how much you guys could offer?
I don't really have a ceiling per se, but have been working with Phil Snowden, the curators, and Steve Owens, and trying to make sure that we have a plan in place to hire the best coach we can.
It's safe to say that you'll be able to put some resources into this hire, though?
Yes.
Is there a plan to also augment, say, the assistant coaching pool or the recruiting budgets, things like that, the ancillary parts of the job?
It's not specific. We've listed, what will, to a potential candidate, we have, a pool of money, and I think it's similar to what Kim has had, so it's somewhere around there. So those are things that are yet to be determined.
But would
Jim,
there be some wiggle room there too, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so.
How far, in your opinion, is this roster in this program from being competitive at a level you'd be happy with? I mean, is a new coach going to look at this and say, "Hey, I'm 3 years away"?
I don't think so. I'm optimistic. I really have enjoyed and loved how these kids have competed this year, and they've been close in a lot of games, and they're in some respects not far away, but I know that roster needs to be augmented to be competitive and be in the top half of the league, and then eventually compete for championships. So I would leave it up to the experts, and the basketball coach to figure that out.
When you're talking to candidates, how much do you expect the academic situation, the investigation, whatever we call it, to be a factor in those conversations?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think what I plan to do, Mike Glazier that's involved, he'll if any questions are asked, he's ready to answer those questions.
Jim, I know Mike asked you on the radio the other night about basketball program being a priority. How do you see that fitting into the rest of the athletic department and the role that the men's basketball program plays?
Well, I think all the coaches are, they're I'm old enough to be their dad with some of them, but even with some, but you don't, the way I treat coaches, I don't try to treat them differently. I try to treat everyone with the same amount of respect and support. And obviously, those basketball and football get the most attention, and they're revenue-driven sports. So I mean, they drive the revenue that helps the rest of the department go. So it's important from that respect, and so that's where the emphasis comes in the amount of time and energy and people that are involved in the program, and generating revenue in those sports.
As you go to sell this to somebody, how good a job is this? I mean, and what are the selling points for why it is a better job than some people might think right now?
Yeah, I think the basketball coaches think this is a good job, and I think it is too. And so it's from that respect, it's I think an easy sell. Just going through the search 6 months ago, I really delved into the whole university and Columbia and the support and the state and all of that, and I'm really excited. I'm more excited than I was 6 months ago. So I can portray that. From a basketball standpoint, I think this program, I think Nick or Patrick had it. We've out of the last 9 years, 6 of those have been in postseason. That's pretty good, and it's just the last 3 years that it's taken a dive. So I think that the facility is in great shape. There's probably some sprucing up. It's getting 13 years old now, and so some of that. But overall, you've got a practice gym. You've got great offices. You've got an arena that people that it gets loud really quick, and I think they with some exciting things going on, that can be a great atmosphere for basketball. And so they've seen it. They, some of them, some people have, coaches have talked about, the coaches that I talk to and look for advice, that they know it's a good basketball job, and I think people are seeing that, and that's why we'll have good interest.
Somebody who's had experience in athletics, is there anything about the Mizzou job that makes it unique, kind of different from other basketball jobs out there? It's not totally unique, but I think it is. Great college town helps, that you're within the metro areas of St. Louis, Kansas City, Chicago, within driving distance. So I think from a basketball standpoint, I think that's very good. Those are metro areas that generate a lot of good basketball players, and not only those areas, but the areas around them. So I think from that respect, I think coaches kind of salivate at that opportunity, so I think that gets them excited.
Do you avoid any candidates that might have some NCAA track record, any penalty sanctions on their history?
Yeah, we'll take everything into consideration, so that would be taken into consideration.
Is that especially important when you've got a program that's still on probation until August, and like Gabe alluded to, that has the potential academic fraud?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, I think it is. It's important no matter what, so but I think even now where we are, I think that's it's very important from that respect.
The recent history at Missouri with some of the racial issues, the protests from a couple falls ago, things like that, I mean, does that, in your mind, is that an indicator that maybe a minority coach would be preferable?
No, I think, I think, as I said before, I want to hire the best coach, best fit that has that integrity and character, and whether, we all have the same blood, so, same color. So I think, and we all have, that DNA, that drive, those type A personalities. So I'm looking for the best guy that can bring this program forward. So, you know, he could be minority, he could not be. So I'm not. That's not a criteria. It's the best coach that I think can lead this program. So, you know, going to, you know, the protest from 2 years ago or so, I think, you know, the rest of the nation has had other things going on. Mizzou was kind of the first one almost that really where something like that happened, and there's been events in Tennessee and other places, and so it's the university is almost ahead of the game, where they really did a good job this past year, really finding out, you know, what's needed, where were we short, and I think the university's in a great place from that standpoint.
I know every AD has his own style. At times in the past year, there's been kind of a committee, and it comes down to a vote. The last guy said, "Hey, this is a one-man hire." I mean, in the end, is this kind of a one-man search committee? Is that how you treat it, or not?
No, I liken it to a village. I try to get, you know, collective support, and I obviously want Hank Foley, you know, to support the decision, and I want the Board of Curators to support the decision. President Choi, you know, to support the decision. So I think all of that. Yeah, we're doing a lot of groundwork, you know, but we're going to bring forward a candidate where they can help me make that decision.